for a new and different perspective every week on LEGO sets, news, media, and more. You're listening to the BCC Podcast.
Today is Friday, February the 15th of 2019, and you're listening to episode 183 of the BCC Podcast. I'm Malurus, and yeah, it's only me and Orion today.
It's me, Mario.
I guess it's the only two people who really matter in a podcast, essentially. Yeah.
Well, Leo is going to be here, doesn't Leo? Does Leo deserve rights? Discuss.
Leo deserving rights? No.
Ha! Ha! Just as preposterous as women deserving rights. Ha!
So, you might be wondering why it's just us, and there's a good reason for it.
It's the LEGO Movie's box office, that's why. Only two people went to see the movie, and it was
We're
us.
covering the LEGO Movie, the second one, and everyone else is trying to keep spoiler-free, and the only other person who could have shown up
spoiler-free?
didn't. Leo.
And I'm just...
So,
oh no.
In essence, we're going to first just cover our overall thoughts without giving any spoilers for a bit, before diving down into the nitty-gritty and tearing this thing apart. So, Orion, what is your general outlook on the LEGO Movie 2?
It was an experience, I guess. I was rolling my eyes a lot while I was watching it. It's so perplexing, honestly. Like, it's a love-hate experience because visually there is so much to like about this movie. There's a lot of shallow depth of field, and I'm a huge fan of that. It's better looking than the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse by a long shot. Take that, overhypers. Yeah. But I get what they were trying to do, but it's so much of just like a patchwork movie. It's just full of everything and not enough of like a focus to it. I have to go on a little bit of a tangent here. Oh wait, no spoilers, right?
Yeah, no spoilers yet.
Wait. Huh, okay, fine. I won't go on at a bit of a tangent here. Anyway, it's pretty much like essentially like a 5 out of 10 movie. Just like The Last Jedi, there's like half of it's really good, half of it's really bad.
Okay.
Yeah. And you, what are your thoughts?
So, what I thought when I was watching it essentially was
Yeah.
Some people are trying so hard to actually make this movie good, you know? I feel like, again, like you said, visually, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, the color palette and everything just being Lego again compared to, like, Batman or
the Lego Ninjago
movie. That's creative, and it's just fun to be kind of totally immersed in the world, essentially, but at the same time, you can see this has been from development hell to back. You can see how forced some of the stuff is, like, I was reading this news article today, it's gonna be a musical. Oh, now it's a space musical, and now it's a brother-sister. It feels like so tacky, and
it's not even really a musical either. It just feels like tacked on. Like, it doesn't qualify as one, really, even.
This isn't exactly a spoiler, but the first actual, like, musical number is, like,
and like
maybe
what,
a fourth of
minutes?
the way through, like, the movie, or fourth half, and it's just, like, comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's, like, makes no sense, because, like, if you're going from the first LEGO movie, that was a musical, and you're watching, like, you know, the first 30 minutes of this movie, you're like, it's the exact same thing, kind of thematically, then out of nowhere, there's a musical number, and then there's a stupid meta joke Like, oh, we gotta explain this to our viewers. Oh,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
musical now?
What do you
Like-
think we are? We're kids? We need this explain. Oh, wait.
Like,
Okay.
oh,
Well, what's funny, though, is that,
we
like,
are?
well, yeah.
like,
I don't know who
why?
this is even trying to appeal to, honestly. Because everyone who saw the first Lego movie and liked it 5 years ago, they're gonna, some people will be in college now. It's like, you
Well,
know.
Some people were in college when they liked the Lego movie. Jeez, Orion.
Yeah, and now they're friggin' old. And now, but the first Lego movie, though, you could, like, it has the same qualifications as this one to be a musical, if we're gonna go that way. Like, the Everything is Awesome number in the Lego movie plays out just like a musical, really. Kind of, you know?
I mean, it
Like, that.
like,
It's the same
in the
setup.
original one,
It's
they
not a
do
musical,
have-
though.
They do have, like, the music, and
They have music numbers.
they kind of dedicate a bit of time to, like, Everything is Awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Emmett's dancing around to it but it's also used, you know, it has breaks in it for, like, you know, jokes and stuff, dialogue, you know? And
Well, yeah, and it's also, like, part of the reason why the musical numbers even in there is, like, to really... that's, like, when you realize this is a satire, really. That's the main point when it hits, because it's, like, satirizing pop songs, satirizing, like, all the pitch-perfect, like, traffic that's moving, like, everything's in sync, all the overpriced coffee, and, like, how everything's micromanaged, you know? It's a good setup for the rest of the movie's, like, wacky, interesting tone.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, halt the movie for,
Yeah.
like, Everything is Awesome to play.
Well,
it
when
just
that
helps it along.
When that first song, what is it, the I'm Not Evil song played, I was
Yeah.
like, this is bad. That was one of the times I was like, it's this kind of movie then, okay. Like, the moment the bass line started, I was like, what is this?
When the movie has to say, oh, we're this type of movie now?
Yeah.
Like, a fourth of the way in, when the tone has been so far established by a movie prior to it, and the first, 30 minutes
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
then that's really bad, you know, a bad choice for, you know, your movie. Like,
And also, it has, like, a terrible lack of focus concerning, like, who's the main character. Like, the way that... Wait,
yeah.
when can we get into spoiler territory? Because so much of what I want to talk about relies on spoilers.
I'd say give it around 10 minutes before we...
Okay.
Well, we're almost 10 minutes, but...
We're almost.
So...
Yeah. From the director of Trolls, Kung Fu Panda... Oh, wait, no, this is the actor, but he acted. Never mind. Okay, wait. Also Trolls. From the director of Trolls, Alvin and the Chipmunks Shipwreck, Shrek Forever After, Sky High, and Deuce Bigelow comes the Lego Movie 2. Yeah, wow, guys. Masterpiece.
Yeah, like... It's not exactly a spoiler what you said, like, about them splitting up who the main character is, because, like, early on in the movie, they split off Emmett from, like, all his friends.
Yeah, and
then
you'd
we have to
assume
cut
he'd
back
be the
and
main
forth.
character, but...
And it feels like we spend way less time with Emmett, honestly, like, compared to the other group.
The movie as a whole is just horribly unfocused. It's and also, I think you'll agree with me, entirely nightmarish in some instances. Like it's like what is it, the scene?
Kind of trippy, almost. Like,
Yeah.
how strange it is.
It's worth
like,
seeing in like a theater, honestly. Though, like I wouldn't say that don't go see it in theaters. 'Cause it's not only will you have fun talking about it, but it's visually, like we all said, it's still very much worth checking out.
And I mean, there's still a few good moments here and there, like, there's some stuff that it feels like, that's clever a bit, but overall...
that's like the whole movie. That's clever a little bit, Well, also, like, they, I don't know if you had this problem, but as opposed to, like, the jokes in the first Lego movie, I hated how in this one, so many of the jokes kind of went like this. It's like, and I'm making up an example, but, like, Batman slips on a banana peel, and then he goes, wow, I slipped on a banana peel. It just, they like they explain the joke that's entirely obvious, like why it happened. It just takes away from, what could have made it funny.
I feel like that happened, but I don't feel like it happened enough as you've said it before. Like, I noticed it, but it's just like, okay, well, whatever. I laughed when it was, still funny, and then they had to explain it to the younger demographic or whatever, and it's like, whatever, let them have their fun.
Where's my Bionicle cameo? That's all I care about.
Alright, well, I'd say that it
Spoilers.
should be about time that we can get into spoiler territory, so
It's
if
that
you
time, folks.
desire to see the movie without being spoiled, click off basically now.
Yeah.
Alright, you have been warned.
Yay!
Let's get into this.
Do you want to go first?
Let's see. What do we want to talk about? Kind of how I feel like the story is a good starting point for my,
Okay. I think you might be saying the same thing I am. Like, about the story. Like, here, give me, like, what's your biggest...
So, the story, like, is really convoluted, like, the plot itself.
Yeah.
The main problem with it is, I'd say the worst offense in this case is, like, how the real world interacts with the story itself, because
it's terrible.
in the original one, technically you could mostly have the Lego universe essentially stand by itself. It didn't need, like, you to say, oh, this is the real world interacting with it. It's all a metaphor for something. It just played out like,
Well, it was like you had like the boy, the boy's like controlling most of like the story that's going on, the overarching story, and like everything in between. You just would think it's basically just the Lego people's themselves imagination or whatever. Like they are their own real characters. They're doing their own things within the story that's dictated by the person, but they still like have free will.
Yeah, basically he's influencing the plot, but it's up to the characters to, make it out of the plot alive, essentially.
I like to think that it just so happens to coincide with the boy's story, and that it doesn't just, like, he's not just absolutely controlling everything. Like, it just kind of lines up.
In the original movie, I think there is, like, a very clear distinction of kind of what is the difference, because, like, in the original movie, Emmett's still able to move in the real world, He's
he influences the story from the outside. That's like the cool part,
Yeah, and so it kind of had that portal at the bottom of like the world falling off the table, essentially. And
the portal,
to use the portal to get back into the Lego world.
That's what's weird about this one, is that in the first one, you like you said, you have the portal. That's like the only way to get into like the real world for the most part. And then in this one, you can't tell if they're in the real world or not. Like, it's impossible to tell if this is the Lego world or the real world or what's going on.
And like near the end, Wildstyle somehow falls like out of the Lego world into the real world for a couple minutes before being thrown into the bin, and then it's back to the Lego world. And at basically the climax, when Emmett is underneath the dryer and he's in the real world solidly, and Rex has mastered the ability to move in the real world.
that was really funny, admittedly. Like, the fighting, that was great. Like that's exactly how I used to play with Legos with my sister when I was really small. Like they're like clinking up against each other. Like, that was great.
Yeah, but
it's impossible to distinguish though what's going on, like if it's real or not.
There's a good line in there that basically describes what we're saying. Essentially, like Rex is like, don't you get it? This is all just like the internal conflict of a child. And it's like, but you're in the real world, like...
Yeah, it's like, no, this is just the internal conflict of the audience trying to figure out what the...
Emmett has to scream, I don't know what's going on, what that even means. It's like, that's his whole movie, you know?
And then, what is it, the twist with, like, Rex Danger Vest, it's like, again, I do not understand. I've talked to people about this, and they try to defend it, but it's like, okay, is time travel real in this? Because that doesn't make any sense to me. And if it is, everyone's trying to say, well, it's a movie, it's the Lego movie, they're moving in real life. And I'm like, well, if they had time travel in Toy Story, wouldn't that upset you? And they're like, yeah. Well, it's the same concept. It's like, it's kind of inexcusable. Like, is time travel actually a thing? And like, how does that even work? Like...
It's hard to tell because, again,
I audibly let out a gasp when they did that. It's like, what? Like...
So, the thing about that is, like, it's so hard to tell because there's so little distinction, again, between the real world and, like, the Lego world.
Yeah.
Like, did Rex
and also, like, that just, like, it invalidates the characters because you had said, like, it's all metaphor,
time-traveling character who actually saw, all these things transpire, or is Rex more of a character made by, the guy who's, like, into, time travel and all these things, and he's just saying, oh, this is Emmett from the future, cool.
But then, like, that line is blurred, though, when, like, when they're under the fridge and when they're under the washer and, like, other circumstances.
Yeah. And another thing that really bothers me, like, when they are fighting, like, Rex has the advantage in the real world, obviously, and then suddenly it changes into the Lego world. Like,
yeah, it's...
How? Again, that distinction is unclear.
I think people would probably defend it by saying, like, it's at that moment that, like, the kid found Emmett under the washer or the dryer and then started to interact.
Mean, like,
but it's never,
Rex
like,
isn't real, like, because
Rex disappears. Yeah, it's like that. Did that happen for real? Like, what?
Did he just lose the Rex figure at that point, or was the Rex figure even there? Like,
well, the problem though is that, like you had said about metaphor, and this is another problem I had in the movie. I really did not care about any of these characters because, unlike the first one, they aren't really characters. They're reduced to just metaphors. Like I said before, if I wanted to watch a movie full of metaphors or whatever, I would just go watch, like, Only God Forgives or some artsy movie like The Tree of Life or something. I want to watch the Lego movie. Like, whenever there are stakes, like, and whenever there's, like, dire consequences for something or, like, a joke, it's hard for me to get invested because all I'm thinking about is just, oh, this isn't actually real. It's just the kid playing with it. And it's also, everything's like,
the main setup of, like, the vision, it's immediately given away. It's, like, called Armageddon. Well, we know it involves our mom, so... Yeah.
That's horrible.
Any of the twist is, like, gone to that.
Also, can we talk about how horrible an actor the mother was? And why do all the scenes in real life look so cheaply filmed? Did they just shoot, like, did they throw all the budget on the Lego and then they're just like, yeah, let's get this film student to just, she can shoot the live action scenes. No one cares about that.
On the
real life
stuff was terrible.
It looked like a commercial almost, what is it? One of those medical commercials you get on YouTube, like, "Hey guys, I'm these kids' moms, and I stopped smoking with Chantix." Yep. Okay. Okay. Here's another interesting thing. Okay, fine. You go first.
I guess a weird thing.
This whole
is
movie.
that Will Ferrell is only a voice actor in this one. And think about it. Will Ferrell started all of this. He's like, okay, your sister can play down here. And now
they just brush that off. He just goes golfing. Like, it's just, he
just like, okay, it's your responsibility to get along with each other. Bye.
I mean, could they not afford Will Ferrell? Like,
I mean, they had him as a voice actor.
But yeah, but he had, like, 5 lines.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't be
was
surprised
still
if they
there.
just like digitally recreated his voice or just like found some unused audio from the other guys and then just put that in there.
No, it
Probably not.
I mean, it's just like weird to think, that the dad from the last movie who wanted them to play together is just like, okay, you do that with his collection. Remember, this is his collection that he was super protective of before.
Why? I don't know why they replaced him with a mom though, because it would make more sense for him to be like our dad again or something, Or did they only replace him with the mom because it's our mom again sounds better? What?
Maybe they just wanted a different angle for it. Like, we've seen the dad already, so let's see the mom.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get enough of Will Ferrell though, man. Like,
gotta rewatch Elf again.
Yeah, Elf. Yeah. Well, but one of the things that also bugged me a lot, I think you said this too, is all the references. Like, I don't understand why the first like third of the movie or like the wasteland part, it's all just directly making references to Mad Max Fury Road, who the target demographic of this movie will not have seen. And some people I've talked to have said that it just shows Finn's interest in like what he's up to. Like, he's edgier now. But then say, but you have to infer that entirely. There's no proof. And also, if that was the case, which it could be, that makes Wild Style the main character, which is why I said it's horribly unfocused, because Wild Style is technically the main character of this movie if you go at it from that angle. Because she's the one who's introducing all these edgy concepts as trying to stop, like, hide her inner. She's like trying to like hide her inner smaller self or cuteness or whatever, which kind of pairs up to Finn's storyline where he's trying to be all dark and edgy, and like, he doesn't want to fit in with the girl, with his sister. And then at the end, then he realizes it's okay, play with the sister and have fun, which is basically her arc. And like, also the whole edginess thing, Wild Style is the one who blatantly introduces that with like when they're on top of the statue. Yeah, the brooding. It's like, why are they, when I saw that, I was like, why are they framing Wild Style like the main character, and then the rest of the movie is like they're acting like Emmett's the main character? It was very confusing.
What's
not confusing about this movie?
Some of the references, I don't get why they even existed. Why was the Wizard of Oz there? Why was Bruce Willis there? Like,
that was like the funniest part of the movie though. Bruce Willis. I was like, that's what I laughed at the most. Like, I mean, Bruce, it's you. Hey, the vents. Like, I don't know why I found that really funny.
Like,
but
okay, yeah, but the problem is, like, with the last Lego movie, they could get away with references like to pop culture and that
because it was a satire of pop culture. That's like the whole reason,
There's more to that. They already had Lego forms of like Gandalf or Dumbledore or NBA All-Stars. And
because Lego Mad Max doesn't exist. Like, that's not a theme.
Yeah, Lego Mad Max, Lego Bruce Willis. There's no Lego Die Hard, unfortunately. Like, there's no Lego Wizard of Oz, technically.
What other references to, like, stuff that didn't make sense was in there? I'm pretty sure the ending was a reference to Neon Genesis Evangelion. You cannot convince me that it isn't. That was some freaky world-ending stuff, man. Why was that in a kid's movie? It was so trippy. Also, the scene at like the perfect neighborhood, dear Lord, that was like, what is going on when they all start singing? It's just terrifying. Yeah, I love it. It's so weird.
That's like one of the trippier moments because, like, okay, so all the Justice League, from a mixture of the Lego movie and apparently
the real Justice League,
the DCEU.
Like, just not Ben Affleck, unfortunately.
They were sent out years ago and have apparently, they're covered
I don't
in
understand
like
that
glitter,
either. like, did the sister keep the minifigures without the brother knowing, or were they independently going out on their own in the real world? Like, I don't.
Again, that whole.
It's hard to distinguish, you know.
It's kind of to the point where you just can't distinguish.
And the catchy song isn't catchy at all. Like, I don't know how people are saying it is, but it's not. Is it?
No, like. I was sitting next to these people, like this mother with her little kid, and she's like, when the music started playing, she's like, "Oh no, no, no!"
She's getting post-traumatic stress to Frozen and the other Lego movie.
So yeah, there's. I don't know if it definitely isn't catchy enough to me. Like,
I don't know. I'm trying to like remember it. It's like this song's gonna get stuck
inside your head.
What's the beat even? It's like
I think
this is terrible. I don't even. Dang it! Yeah, it really isn't. I can't even like. I'm usually really good at this. I cannot remember like what the melody to it is.
Like,
I better watch that 4-hour-long ad again. Oh yeah, there were too many references to "Everything is Awesome." That really bugged me. It's like everything is not awesome. Emma, everything's not awesome. This song is awesome. It's like, is everything awesome? It's like, all right, fine. Just please stop.
So, you know, something that's really sad about this movie, though.
There's too many to like pinpoint. Bruce Willis, he looked pretty sad. Living in those vents.
When you look up the Lego movie, the first person you see is Jason Momoa as the voice actor for Aquaman, and he only
Chris
says
Pratt.
like 2 lines.
Well, and they're all references, they're all memes from Justice League. It's like, my man. Yeah! You know,
and that's it. And that's it. And yet, Google thinks, you know, he deserves
Aquaman,
to be the first person you see, and he actually gets credited for Aquaman. And like Chris Pratt as Emmett or Rex, nah, who needs that? When Jason Momoa is beating Chris Pratt in like Google, that's
you know, things are bad.
Day.
Yeah. Aquaman, man. I'd rather watch Lego Movie 2 on repeat for like 5 hours than watch Aquaman again. Because at least there's like stuff to admire, like in the Lego Movie. Like, here, wait, okay, let's talk about stuff we liked about it. Like, obviously the animation is great. I know it's like, oh, you know, the second parts of trilogies are always darker, but I did like enjoy a lot of the darker, more heavy-handed, kind of mature aspects to it. Like, I especially liked the fake out ending. That was great. It would have been great if it ended right there. It's like,
yeah,
I would I was actually getting chills. Like, is it actually ending there? I was about to like stand up and clap actually, because I was really excited, because I was like, if they had just ended it at the fake out, they would have made way more money. It's tanking at the box office right now. It would have made way more money because people would be talking about it. Like, what's going to happen next? Like, that would have been a genius marketing move. Like, that's
sort of like with Desolation of Smaug,
or
like
Infinity War. You know, it's like,
you know, he's about to destroy the city. And
yeah,
Bill
he's gonna
was
blow
like,
up the
"Dang."
city.
And
No,
then
but
unfortunately
hey,
the sequel is disappointing in that case.
Yeah.
But,
Well, like, I think that would have been great, but I did like the fake out ending and all the trippy stuff. I did think the dichotomy between like Rex and Emmett was well done outside like the time travel stuff. Like, I think they did a good parallel there. I don't know, parts of it, like, you know, segments of it, like chunks of it, like a half hour here, a half hour there, are really watchable. Like watching it all at one pace though, it's kind of a little bit too long almost. Like, if it had ended right at the fake out, that would have been the perfect length, but it dragged a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? It felt like a little awkward.
It was kind of long in runtime, but we're talking about everything that was awesome about that
okay,
movie,
all right,
right?
yeah. Some of the music was good, but like, not the musical numbers really. Outside the first musical number, I really cannot remember the other ones. Like, what else was there? There weren't
There
even
was the
other
one
musical
where-
numbers. Like the when they're using this song is gonna get stuck inside your head. That isn't really a musical.
That's not a
is
musical number. No.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
usually any musical number is with Queen whatever Wanabe.
All the names are so uncreative.
So, like, there's a I'm not evil, and then there's the one where she's trying to fake Batman out into. She's trying
marriage?
to
Yeah,
trick him into marriage, which is
Was that
kinda
any
creepy.
good? Was it like I can't remember? Was that song any good?
I don't think
Probably
so.
not if I can't remember it.
Like, the songs aren't too good for the musical part of it, you know.
Wait, no. Okay, everything is awesome about this movie. Okay, we have to really brainstorm. Like, what did you like about the movie? Dora, what did you like about the movie? Loisimos, come on, what did you like?
Oh, let's see. I mean, it's good to see Chris Pratt, like, in a leading role. Oh, it's like, it's sad that I had to say that, but it's like, his
What
career
happened?
is like, it started with the Lego movie, basically.
And
like,
ended with the Lego Movie 2.
I mean, he still has a Jurassic World sequel
World?
and Avengers movie to get through.
Cut out again.
It's like,
come on, get back in there.
after that, I don't think he's taken up any more big roles. It's like,
I'd cut out just for a second.
well, you know,
Did I miss
basically,
anything?
no.
I just miss Chris Pratt. That's it.
I mean,
The only movie that's on his slate next, he has two of them. One of them looks like it won't get made. Cowboy Ninja Viking, which it sounds like
which
a Lego
sounds
movie
like
spinoff.
a good Chris Pratt film.
And then the next one is like Liam Neeson's directorial debut. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
he really needs to branch out more. Besides,
the
like
thing
the
is, like, Chris
macho.
Pratt kind of wants to retire, like,
He does?
early. Yeah. That basically he wants to live a very simpler life, and now that he has money to do that, you know, it's probably gonna
this was his plan the whole time. He would do for a 5-year period. He would appear in some of the most prolific generic blockbusters of all time, bearing like the Lego Movie and Infinity War. Make like a ton of money. Then he would be in Liam Neeson's directorial debut, and then he wouldn't be in anything else.
Well, that is one smart move, but I mean, I really liked, you know, the animation for the most part. Like, it moved really well, and that's kind of also what made part of just going into the real world at random intervals. Like, when the sister's taking them into her spaceship and going up the stairs, like, it's just so jarring, like, that.
Well, and then it's also, what is
that.
the asteroid field?
I think it's just a metaphor.
This movie is so deep, but like, what if it is a metaphor? What does it mean? Like,
maybe it means that the children have kidney stones they need to pass.
So yeah, this is a lot like The Last Jedi, where it's like I can understand why people enjoy it, but calling it like a masterpiece, it's like some things in it are just indefensibly nonsensical and terrible. Like I really don't understand. Like
there's one. I'm pretty sure this is super nitpicky.
It probably is, but I nitpick too, so I go forward.
One of the internal logics is that, like, halfway through, I guess, like, Wild Style's hair is kind of washed, and you can see it's just blue and pink hair, and she's like, "Don't worry, guys, it's not like I took a marker and individually, like, you know, took care of my strands." And that was a funny joke, but it actually kind of confuses me because it's like, okay, does she use like one of the ancient relic markers to do that, or did the Lego
girl?
markers like
Did
work?
the boy color the hair, or did the girl color the hair, or?
And then, you know, Emmett comes in with those markered in stubble dots, and then
Where did
he
you get
redraws.
the marker?
And then, you know, Rex redraws his face with a marker, and it's like, how? So, do Lego markers work in the Lego world and the real world somehow? What? It's just, again, the internal logic versus the external logic. I don't think they understood how to balance that. Most major plot hole is Wildstyle sharpening her hair.
I'm just hung up on like what the frick the asteroids were or whatever. like just, man, you guys really don't clean your place. You got giant balls of like dust bunnies everywhere. Dear Lord. Also, again, the time travel though. It's like the way it's explained is he just gets Doc Brown's car and time travels, and it's like, I don't know if that's real or not. Like, it's so
machines, though, you know.
I have a question. Would you see this in theaters again?
Depends on if I have a friend who would or would not have seen it before. It's like, hey, you're in for something.
Yeah.
Well, something.
Because I'd be curious to like see it again in a theater. I think, you know, if nothing else was playing, I don't know. I don't think it would change my mind on like the overall opinion, but I think it would like strengthen my opinion on like whether or not I, you know, enjoyed certain aspects, you know, or not. I definitely want to like own it, you know, because it's so weird and like convoluted that, you know, you kind of want to have it on, you know, standby. Traumatize your kids with it. I want to buy it just so I can rip the Blu-ray and make like David Lynch's the Lego Movie 2 and just like add like all this horrific white noise to scenes and just like all this trippy stuff. I'm gonna do that when it comes out.
Well, good on you for it, but like, I don't know that I'd particularly want to see it like again in theaters at full price. Technically, like
what, like matinee or like at a discount theater?
Yeah, I think at that point it's like, sure, why not, you know? But it's like,
what was it better to you than Into the Spider-Verse? I think it was like potentially
art style, definitely. Like, Spider-Verse had kind of the same problem with like splitting up its protagonist time, and it's like, well, I feel like I know Miles better from that one movie than I do Emmett from this movie, but I also had the first Lego movie to say, yeah, Emmett's cool. I like Emmett.
Yeah, Chris Pratt, you know.
Chris Pratt, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, you know, the side characters in this movie feel
more?
like just cannon fodder. Well, the side characters in Spider-Verse are just cannon fodder.
I think that like, in the Lego movie, they're at least like a little bit more interesting. Like, it's weird. Into the Spider-Verse didn't even introduce like the secondary other Spider-Verse characters until like more than halfway through the movie. Like,
and then they're just like, you know,
they don't do anything. Yeah, Nicolas Cage, I like to fight Nazis a lot. You know, sometimes I'll let the match burn down to my fingertips just so I can feel something, anything. You know, it's like...
At least it had Nicolas Cage, though. But this, I mean, it has Chris Pratt, Nick Offerman.
It has Jason Momoa, okay? My man.
It has Ben Schwartz, even. Like,
who's that? Who's Ben Schwartz?
He's a famous comedian.
Well, I haven't heard of him.
That's because you don't look for the joyful things in life, right?
No, I just watch all these depressing movies. do you think like do you think it should like have a sequel to it? Like should it have made more at the box office? Like I kind of want to see what's next because this movie has like a ton of potential, at least like you know
like,
what it was going for.
Spider-Verse got a lot at the box office, and
not as much though as like the people wanted it to. Everyone was like disappointed in its box office take for some reason.
Because they wanted it to make, you know, $1 billion.
You know?
Yeah. But it's like, you know, I wouldn't say that this is a movie you shouldn't see. I'd say that it's underperforming for just because a lot of people take, marketing. You know, offense to just how terrible, like, terrible and, like, you know, the production was bad, so
also, they
really
waited
shows.
Too long to make this movie. Like, they should have just had it come out the year after the first Lego movie and then spin-offs, because it's ridiculous to release spin-offs to a brand new IP after only one outing.
I think the Lego Batman movie made sense. And
the movie made sense, but it should have came after like the second Lego movie. Well,
I feel like it
maybe
could have
the
came
Lego
before,
Batman movie in between. Yeah,
and then but have the Lego movie come out.
I wish Thanos could just
soon.
Snap the Lego Ninjago movie like from existence. It's useless. It takes up filler and like time and space. It has no purpose.
I can't argue with that because I still haven't seen it.
Mal's been saved. He's, you know, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't bother about seeing it.
Like, if they came out with it sooner, that might have also spared it from, like, oh, let's make it a musical while we're at it, you know?
I still don't understand why they did that. Like, what? Like, it's so bizarre. It's really not even a musical, though. Like, it shouldn't be categorized as one.
That's because they came up with it and then it was kind of scrapped, but then it wasn't. Again, the production was terrible. But I'd still say it's like, it's not a bad movie necessarily.
It's not just forgettable at all. Like, you won't forget it.
It's just, you know,
different reasons.
The plot and, again, the kind of just terrible real world metaphor things that kind of drag it down a lot. And I think people just, since it's just so bizarre to go from, well, they're kidnapping Batman and Lucy to this little girl just stuffing it in like blur motion while she's going up to the Twilight Zone's entrance or whatever. Like, it's like, what the heck?
Everyone's like laughing maniacally and crying or whatever. It's like, dear Lord, what is going on? I want to see a third one though. Like, can they just make the third one as just like this experimental art house trippy nightmare of an animated film? Like, they just go all out. Like,
maybe like Emmett is struggling with his dark side. He's going to become Rex, but he has to find a way to not, you know, become evil or whatever.
I do think I definitely want to see more Lego movies because there is a ton of potential in the franchise, and I want to see like more of the world that they have. I just want to see it like better. Well, it's not like the movie is like terribly executed. It's just it's so messy. Like, just you know, more focused. I want the next one to be more focused if there is a next one. I hope there is a next one.
I mean, I don't know that they'll make another one because if the box office is doing this like just poorly, I'd say it's expensive to make one of these actual Lego movie films because, you know, you're animating like
piece by
little
piece
studs as water or you know, all these other things that would be cheaper to do otherwise. And then you have all the licensing shenanigans to deal with.
I mean,
at that point, like, it's like, going to be expensive, but I think it really just depends on how merchandise sells, honestly.
And it could sell well, like, on DVD and Blu-ray, because a lot of films kind of live or die by that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the very least, we can hold out hope for Frozen 2. That looks good. Looks so
Wait
good.
It's Frozen to become like the Hobbit trilogy.
Just wait for Frozen. Like, just let Disney just snap and make like this friggin' epic dark masterpiece or whatever. It's like, come on, please, everyone, hype up Frozen 2. It looks so good.
I'm all for like a dark Frozen 2, like. Just
kill off Olaf, and it'll be the Empire Strikes Back. They just kill off Olaf in the second installment. I hope they do. Like that, even if the movie is a masterpiece, if it still has Olaf in it, I'm deducting like 1 or 2 points.
Give me some darker movies, your darker animated movies, Disney, because. The Black Cauldron. That's pretty wicked stuff, like epic fantasy stuff, in Disney form. Yeah, give it to me.
I'm just really tired of just like all of these animated movies are just so extremely marketed towards children. Like the one thing I liked about Into the Spider-Verse, even if it did have some of this, was that the story felt like a normal story and didn't feel like it was. It felt like it felt like something that like Marvel would kind of make almost. I know it was trying to be different, and maybe that's an insult or whatever, but it felt like a mature, like a drama comedy.
Wonderful
it didn't feel
directors
like, it's a kid's film.
The Spider-Verse, Lego Movie, Phil and Chris Lord and Miller.
Yeah.
I feel like they know how to make a great like family picture. Mm-hmm. Like George Lucas knew how to make great family pictures.
He still knows. He just doesn't want to make
it can be like, made for children, but that shouldn't take away like good storytelling or good value to adults. Like, we shouldn't be bored watching this movie. We should be invested as well.
Well, yeah, and
we can see different themes at different ages, Well,
and I want to see, like, animation, like, almost every single animated film made in the West is almost specifically marketed towards children, but then you have, like, stuff that adults can understand. But the thing that I do like about anime, at least the good parts of anime, is that they're films that aren't just specifically for kids. Like, you have political dramas, you have adult comedies, you have romances, you have fantasy epics, and then you have kids films, and then you have like sci-fi movies, like basically Blade Runner equivalents, and they're all fantastic. Well, at least the ones I have seen. A lot of them aren't, but kids movies are only one genre within the medium of anime. Then you have like all these other different types of films that aren't for kids, but that are like for an adult audience, and not like in a graphic way, but just the subject matter, like a political intrigue thriller or something.
So the prequels.
Or something like Ghost in the Shell, or something experimental like Angel's Egg, or you have all this different stuff. But then over here in the West, they have like, okay, all right, I got this idea. We're going to have this story about, it's about inside this girl's head, but it's for kids though. Okay, so we're taking this adult complex idea, Inside Out, and we're going to put it in a package that is for the kid demographic. So now we're going to make it narratively confusing for everyone, where it'll be too boring for kids, and it'll be too kiddie looking for adults to take seriously. So no one will be happy, or at least I wasn't happy. It's so disappointing.
The thing about animation is you can literally do whatever you want with it, and
I
you can
hate
make
how
it
it's
really
so restricted.
You can make super stylistic events, and you don't have to restrict them to necessarily like
kids or adults or whatever. Make a film that speaks for itself.
You can make something super trippy, like
the Lego Movie 2.
Except the reason that's trippy is because of its story. Yeah. Like, you can just make
something
art
trippy
with, like, an animated film, and that adds, like, layers to story and, all these other things that, Like,
Yeah,
I like
well-
what Into the Spider-Verse was going for, trying to
Mhm.
break a bit out of that, like,
The
okay,
mold,
we gotta
yeah.
stick into this realistic mold, but at the same time, they didn't do it quite to a
Yeah, they didn't
good
commit.
effect, you know? Like, some other things were, like, jarring in the sense they shouldn't have been jarring, like you said, like the red and blue kind of, like, outlines, making you think, like, oh,
Yeah.
did I go into
Yeah.
3D theater?
No, yeah, like for the
Like-
first 15 minutes, I was like, am I in the wrong showing? Do I need glasses? Because it looks super blurry and out of focus in some shots.
So, like, you know, go break out of that mold and try to go for different animation styles, you know?
Hmm.
Different animation movement, different, you know, try
'Cause-
different genres, maybe.
Because
you
like
know?
the only animated films I can really think of that aren't like for kids, they're just movies on their own merit. So like a kid could watch Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is technically like an adult movie, but it's not like a kid movie. You know what I mean? Like the only animated movies that I can think of that do that would be like, what is it? Western movies would be like Watership Down, Plague Dogs. I think The Secret of Nim was pretty good for the most part, outside like The Crow. And then what was it? Fantastic Planet was Russian. So I'm not counting that. What other movies, like animated movies, were there that were like just movies? They weren't like kids movies, you know? Can you think of any?
Off
There's
the
another
top of
one.
my head, not particularly.
Oh, there
but-
was was it A Scanner Darkly and Tintin? Tintin wasn't really like a kids movie, really. It was just like animated Indiana Jones, at least to me. You know.
It was a mocapped, you know, adventure movie.
Oh,
You know,
hey,
it's like,
whoa! What about Beowulf and Polar Express? Heck yeah, you know.
well, I said adventure movie. Polar Express is like on the rails. Beowulf, let's
On
not
the
even
rails?
talk about that.
Did you do that on purpose? Polar Express is on the rails, you know, or whatever. Get some hot cocoa, if you know what I mean.
Get those annoying kid opinions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
Pixar really isn't like. Wait, Shrek. Is Shrek like for kids? Or is it, like,
but
kind
like
of?
Shrek kind of invented the we're
The
trying
middle
to make
line.
those edgy jokes
Yeah.
for the parents without, you know, with it still being a kids movie.
What about? Oh, okay. Actually, there are stop motion. I keep forgetting about this genre because most of them aren't very good. I hate how so many of these movies by Aardman are like so painstakingly made, but then the narrative is just like dull as dishwater. Like Curse of the Were-Rabbit, Shaun the Sheep, the movie. I wanted to fall asleep or die during some of them. They were just so slow. Well, then you have like Anomalisa, which is actually like an actual like adult surrealistic drama by Charlie Kaufman. That's really good. So there's that. Isle of Dogs, maybe. Yeah, that's definitely like a movie. It's PG-13. It's kind of like a movie that kids and adults can watch. But I didn't like the last half of the movie. It just kind of went downhill.
Would you consider Fantastic Mr. Fox in that same genre then? Because
And I'd consider it in like the animated genre, but it definitely isn't like a kids movie. It's more like it's instead of just being a kids movie, it's like a comedy drama for the most. It's like a Coen Brothers movie but animated, in some sense. So anyone can watch it, but it's not specifically geared towards kids and has to like hide adult messages to, you know, entertain adults. It stands on its own without pandering to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a few, I guess, but they're few and far between. Like A Scanner Darkly that I mentioned is an adaptation of a Philip K. Dick short novel made by Richard Linklater, the director of the Before trilogy, and it stars Keanu Reeves, and it's entirely rotoscoped, and it has Robert Downey Jr. as like a crack addict with no hair.
So basically, Robert Downey Jr. as himself.
Just as himself. Yeah. So There are some good ones. The Lego Movie 2 definitely doesn't fall into the category of being like its own movie instead of being like a kids movie. It is very confused. It's split down the middle.
And it's definitely trying to go for a more kiddie feel than like the first Lego Movie.
Do you really think so though? Because it's like I feel like some people really wanted to take it further than other people. Like there was a bit of like a tug of war almost, like all the like the weird, trippy, disturbing parts, and then you have like all like the over explaining the jokes. It's like a dark movie was made, and then they like made an entirely. They replicated it, but they made it for kids. Then they put it in Sony Vegas and like overlaid the two of them together.
Well, I feel like a strong point in the first Lego Movie was like its keen sense of humor. It's basically tongue in cheek and use of, basically we're making fun of basically all these other tropes and trends, all these other animated movies for doing,
and that's
selling out for, all that stuff. But this one's more like, we're actually doing those humors and jokes that we made fun of in the last movie,
They became what they feared the most. Yeah, that was another thing that I forgot to talk about is how this movie is like the antithesis of like the first one, whereas like the catchy song in this movie, they only made that because they had a catchy song in the other one and they wanted to make a catchy song for like merchandise or popularity. In the first one, it was made as an earworm to like intentionally to criticize and satirize the genre of pop music that everyone like is obsessed with, or the younger people are obsessed with, or whatever,
And then
and
it blew up,
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we gotta
do it again.
And then they made somehow the most uncatchy song that didn't blow up.
This song's gonna get stuck inside here. I still can't get the melody for it. Like, I really do not remember anything about that song. I don't know. Is that like all we have to say about the Lego Movie for the most part? I mean,
I'd say that should about cover it for today, unless you had any closing thoughts.
I wonder what we should call the title of this video. We need
Orion
clickbait like the last time.
The Lego Movie 2?
Wait, no, we hated the Lego Movie 2. Let's call it that. LQ, come on, please. Let's do it.
Well, as long as we don't get him involved in the editing process, we release it without his consent.
Let's have Leo do the title so that way we won't take any of the blame. It'd be like, the Lego Movie 2 shenanigans. We'll,
well, I mean...
Yeah.
If you viewers thought differently or agreed with us, you can comment down below or, discuss it. And, I thank you to all of our Patreon members.
Thank you.
Are being displayed right now. Thanks for giving Orion money.
Yeah.
He lives for the money. That's the only reason he's a part of our group, honestly.
Don't. Also, Cooking Hero Factory is delayed because I need to buy a hat. It has to ship. I need to get the hat. I do have a green screen video. It's almost fully edited. I just really don't like it, but LQ's probably gonna make me publish it anyway.
Well, you need to release that content for more patrons.
Fine.
Subscribers.
Yeah. I was debating like for the second channel. I'm just like, I need to do something. I'll like swallow like 2 raw eggs, and just it's like a 40-second long clip. I'll just upload that to the main to the second channel. There we go, some content. Heck yeah.
Oh yeah. It'll have to be really well shot though.
Well shot, like the Lego Movie 2. like it'll have to be well shot, like the Frozen 2 trailer. Cinematography.
Make it look like a dark fantasy epic of you gargling 2 raw eggs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for Orion and myself, Malurus. Dang,
your name right.
Jeez.
Malurus.
Well, we thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.
5 out of 10.